Hello YouTubers, this is the Nubifier. Today I had an opportunity to stand in for Twerk17 on the Redacted podcast, a weekly live interactive show about Star Citizen. I'm posting it up here just in case you missed it, and I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of Redacted. It is Wednesday, August 9th, 2017. Now, before we get into today's episode, I do want to do a quick audio check with you guys to make sure everything's all good. We should be okay for volume.
So, this is the sound of my voice.
No, this is the sound of my voice.
This is the sound of my voice.
Please keep that up throughout that entire
for the
podcast.
remainder of the show. Donations, $10 a minute, keep Soros's voice at that level.
Oh my god, just for the helium required.
$1
First
a
minutes
minute.
on me, big boy.
Wow. Sexy, creepy Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse.
it goes from 97 people down to like
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, so I'm one of the 4.
And there it goes, right. So first things first, this episode is going to be a little bit different, just because of the amount of content that we got from ATV. Usually we pull a lot of the visual stuff. You guys have seen that we bring up visual video and have that looping and stuff. While we still have a studio report for you guys and to go over that with, we don't have any actual video to go alongside that. However, we can update you with the monthly studio report from Foundry 42 in Manchester. Now, before we get into that as well, I want to touch on the schedule report. This week, or rather on Friday, Evocati was pushed back from the 3rd of August to the 17th of August as a possible start time to it's now the 10th of August to the 17th of August. Everything else is still the same. The PTU is still scheduled for the same time frame. The live is still scheduled for the same time frame. Do you guys think that this means that they're getting more and more confident with what that date is going to be, or do you think that this is just something that they're trying not to push back on the back end of the Evocati?
I think they're relatively confident with the Evocati schedule, but there's stuff that they can only know whether or not it's an issue by having the Evocati.
Right.
So, I mean, the PTU and the live start date are almost irrelevant. It's kind of just the Evocati start time that's important.
Right, yeah, because everything sort of follows after that, right? We don't know if it's going to be an Evocati for a shattering week or 2 months.
Double Zulu patch.
Right. We don't know. So it does kind of render the next 2 dates kind of irrelevant. Something that did stand out to me on the schedule report, and if you guys want to go check it out for yourself, you can by typing !ETA. I not only have the link to the schedule report directly there, but I also have a link to the diff checker to show in between the 2 weeks. But something that they have, there's a couple things that were pushed back by a few days, but the character customization is still to be determined, and it's been that way not only since this last one, but the one before that as well. Do you think that they should just, the whole point of this was, hey, maybe we're going to have to cut some things out if it's not ready for it, and either introduce it on its own by itself or introduce it with 3.1?
I mean, I think it's just to do with certain parts of character creation, like
the UI or something.
I don't entirely know. It's I think the particular thing you're talking about in the schedule report is referring to the UI team,
right,
for character customization. But I suspect that they will get that in whatever. We just might not get that in an Evocati release. We might just get a very rough form of character customization, or no character customization in the Evocati.
Right.
I would say,
and do it later.
I wouldn't say that. So the things that obviously feature complete, and when they say this is what's coming out with it. I hope that CIG is not getting concerned about something like character generation as being not necessarily a blocker, but as being something that the community will lose their mind over if they don't get it. Because the reality is it's not worth pushing stuff back over for sure. That's
sort of what I was thinking, right? Is how heavily reliant are other systems on the character customization? Even if there's none, then it's something that at this point, any sort of change or update is going to be better. And there's already a ton of stuff that we know 100% that's already done and ready to go is ready.
Yeah. So how closely related? I think that the character customization and the items 2.0, how things attach to the new skeleton, they're probably very well intertwined. They're probably very codependent. So that might be why it's all part of the same system. You know,
I'm pretty sure that that's all actually been done or near completion.
Right.
But it's just literally the UI elements of the character customization.
Oh, okay.
Stuff. And I think that's because that the UI team are getting hammered with so much other work to do.
Right.
It's like as they get to the end of 3.0 polish, they're going, oh god, UI stuff. There's lots more UI stuff to do, because as you get to the end, you go, oh, we need this and we need this and we need this finished. And the stuff needs to be polished, and they realise like this isn't as ergonomic as it could be. So the UI stuff is always going to be quite hammered at the end towards like the last sprint.
Well, and you can also see that if you look at the actual bar graph for the schedule report, that the thing one of the things that sticks out the longest is the UI. And actually one of the shortest things is the network, which is
dedicated team on the network. UI guys have to go across every system and go
across all
UI,
systems.
UI. Yeah.
Now I just want to remind everybody that we are taking questions at the end of this podcast. So if you have any questions for myself, Board Gamer, or Noobifier, ! Question in chat, or there's a link to a Google Doc down below the video, and you can submit your question for one of us. You feel free to ask us about our channels, Star Citizen, whatever. Do remember that we are not employees of CIG, so any speculation we give is exactly just that, speculation. While we do try to keep up to date with the most relevant information, some answers we just don't have.
Happy almost birthday, Saurus, that I missed.
Yeah, it was on Monday, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I put some cake emotes.
Yeah, I saw. You know what, was quick sidetrack. I got an email the day before my birthday saying, "Hey, birthday cheers are here," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "How does Twitch know my birthday?" I'm like, "They probably have it in my like partner stuff or whatever." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I was gonna make bits for my birthday, because you can switch those out whenever you want. And I was like, "Oh, they made bits for this," and they're just saying, okay, I get them for a week or something. And so I go in and read it, and it's like, oh, this is when bits were launched last year, and they're doing it bits for their birthday. They don't even know I exist. Never mind. And
so
I was like,
saying, audio, Board Gamer and Noobifier apparently up a bit.
Okay.
According to Sid Vicious. Thank you, Sid.
Let's do another audio test. 1, 2, 3.
Board Gamer. Woo!
No, just talk like normal. Don't yell.
Normal.
That is me normal.
Okay.
Board Gamer. Woo.
Noobifier. Woo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So bad. Is that better?
It's
everyone's
apparently
happy.
It's for now. Give it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It'll degrade.
Somebody
Somebody
new will come in and be like, "Hey, audio."
The ones that I like, and sorry for the tangent, are the guys that type in chat, "I can't hear anything," and then they realize it's because they closed, they muted Firefox or something, that it was totally on their end.
Yeah. Once again, guys, if you have any questions, ! Question in there. Follow the link, fill it out, and we'll get to them at the end of the cast. So I want to go over first with the changes to ATV. So they're temporarily moving studio updates out of ATV, and they're going to be replacing them with burn down reports of 3.0. Now, what is it that you think that? Now they said they were gonna record their meetings.
We'll have to see how that turns out, right?
Right. I mean, we've seen those sort of things before.
Yeah, it's going to be little clips like in the Road to. That's the sort of thing I
like the Road to Star Citizen kind of deal when they showed when they were working.
It's not going to be like a traffic cam that's just running all the time.
No,
that'd be creepy.
See, I
think they should just live stream. I think they should just live stream the whole office.
I like that idea.
All the public areas, just
people picking their noses, and it's like, maybe not.
How many toilet breaks does Cameron have?
Oh my god! But yeah, so if you're asking, so you're asking about the actual change of ATV and what if like what that means and if it's good or not.
Well, I'm curious to see how they're going to present the burn down reports on a weekly basis, and it sounded like this isn't something that's just happening for one thing. Now they didn't show it with, and that kind of got to me because they didn't show the burn down report for this week. But they also didn't give us a studio update. They gave us a 15-minute video. On a feature.
It annoyed me that they said next week we're changing. I was like, oh, so this week this week's not a change, is it? We've got nothing. Nothing this week. We got some very pretty stuff about secondary viewports.
Yeah, I mean, and that was cool and everything. But it was like, oh, well, our podcast is going to be pretty short this week. But luckily we got the monthly report.
Remember the countdown to Star Marine? That was like it's going to be 2 weeks. But they did a report with all the blockers in it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's basically what we're going to have from the burn down. It's going to be a little look at what all the studios are doing towards 3.0. It's going to be some 3.0 gameplay. It's going to be little clips of the meetings that they have, and it's going to be heavily talking about the bugs that they smashed out. And the blockers that they're currently seeing. And I think we're going to get that throughout the Evocati and PTU phase as well.
Yeah, so I could see that, them continuing that. Do you think that when it goes to Evocati or the PTU, that they will continue to do that without doing the studio update
up until live release. So, because for them as well, it's a break before Gamescom, which they need. It's like, oh, let's do this burn down report. But it's obviously because of Gamescom as well.
But do you think it is less work for them? Because I think it's less work.
It has to be. Oh no, it's not less work for. It's not less work.
For
it's
the
just
devs.
Fewer people required, right?
Fewer people required.
If it's just like, let's say Sandy and Chris on, like, they need a camera guy, a light guy, and an audio guy, and that's it. But if they're doing like what's CIG,
right? Their interviews and stuff like that, where they pull them out of work.
They have to shut stuff down for a day, right? Like even just doing the video. This is self-serving, but when I got interviewed by Disco that night for Citizens of the Stars, there was 3 hours in advance that I was live, just talking back and forth, getting ready. And I could see they had camera guys there. Like, it was late at night and there were like 15 people up. And I can imagine it was like an actual production for such a simple little thing that lasted like 5 minutes. So if they do something deliberate, I can imagine the back end is very, very thick.
Yeah, I think the thing is twofold, definitely, as well. It gives them time for Gamescom because they need to get ready. They don't want to interrupt the studios. But also, there's lots of stuff that they want to show us, but can't until after games. Because it's stuff that they need to, well, this is like a surprise for games.
Right.
But if they start showing it us now, it's like, oh, but you showed us that before Gamescom.
Yeah, but do you think Gamescom is more for the backers, or you think it's more for new people or people who aren't paying attention?
It's both now. Originally, it used to be for new people, but it's kind of both now. CitizenCon's always going to be the celebration of the community and the citizens, so it's going to be much more for backers already there. But they're going to try and make them both for both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see what's happening at Gamescom. I remember last year, Gamescom's demo blew my mind. And I'm not saying that to get like no pressure or nothing. Like, I understand what's happening, but I was shocked by Gamescom and super happy, and I found it to be a good boost. And then SitCon was, if you weren't expecting SitCon to be better than Gamescom, it was actually a really, really solid show with a lot of back end, like, very interesting stuff that we needed to know about.
Oh, not about Spectrum. They didn't need to tell us half an hour about Spectrum. No, okay. Jesus.
But they did that as a placeholder. You know that.
Yeah, it was a play. They weren't expecting to do that.
Yeah, so it's understandable at that point. And it was still interesting, just not crazy, right? Not like Squadron 42 vertical splice.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, it just felt like filler. That was my angry?
To answer your original question, I think that it's fantastic that they're leaving everyone alone to focus on, because it also infuriates. There's a certain component of our community that gets frustrated every single time. They're like, just leave the people alone and they'll let them do the work. So although I don't think it interferes with it as much as that, it's still psychologically good. The guy knows he's coming in on Monday. He doesn't have to be interviewed. He doesn't have to do anything. He just sit down, quickly check Reddit, and then start working on game development. Right? It's good, positive. Board Gamer's cutting out.
So I've already changed it so that shouldn't be an issue anymore.
There we go, magic. Yeah. Notice how we have wires coming from our...
Trust no one.
Well, you think my headphones are somehow
probably
an issue?
I mean, they are those junky Sennheisers.
You'll figure it out.
Oh my god!
Wow, shots fired.
Oh my god! I can't believe you're upsetting my Sennheisers.
I've got them too, just more wired.
So let's jump into this information that we got was from the monthly studio report, which was put out. Which good eye on Board Gamer, because I didn't think we got a studio report at all for Foundry 42. So also, before I get into this, do you think we're going to get a monthly studio report with updates for everything?
Yes, we'll still get that, because all they need to do is they'll be getting reports from each of their staff members and leads anyway.
Still,
so all they need to do is disseminate that onto a monthly report. Although next month's monthly report might not exist because of Gamescom. They said something's not happening because of Gamescom. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
Ship sale. Just kidding.
No, the ship sales are definitely happening.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to be talking about a few of those coming up. But okay, yeah. That, anyways. So you guys know where we got our information from. That's where it's coming from. If you're looking for a source, this wasn't from ATV. Of course, ATV did have the lovely holographic render to texture stuff. Really cool stuff. It's only, I think the whole section is like 8 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that. With the other,
can we talk very briefly about render to texture?
Yeah,
and
of course.
Secondary viewports.
Of course.
Before that, can we talk about the memes that came out because of it, where Darth Vader was standing in front of the Emperor? That's it. That's all I wanted to mention. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, community, for doing those up. That was awesome. It made me so happy.
So render to texture is nothing new in games. It's like baking textures. It's literally cutting stuff and putting it on another texture, whatever. Other games use that. The way that Star Citizen are doing it and the way they're implementing their engine, though, is very unique and efficient, because they're using it for HUDs and they're using it for stuff like that. And this has led on to secondary viewports, which is a method by which they literally have in-game cameras which record stuff and then paste that onto a texture. So you can have quite highly detailed stuff that doesn't take up much room resource-wise when it's rebroadcast, as it were. So you can do stuff with mirrors, and you can do stuff with comms, and you can do stuff with holograms, and it's all from live performances.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think, because the only reason that they do this is because of the MMO side, they don't need it for Squadron 42, because they could fake it all if they wanted to. They could do it all from pre-rendered. They could do it all from scripts or whatever.
Yeah, but why would you? Like, if you're going to make the tech anyways, and, you know, from my perspective, and again, I don't know Chris Roberts, but what I understand, or what I detect, is that he doesn't want any compromises. He's already made a game with that, and that was, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So why should he settle for that? You know, the animated cutscenes, it's just a movie clip, and now it comes back to the game. Why would you do that if you don't have to?
For Squadron 42, that's literally, you don't need this render to texture tech. You don't need the secondary viewport tech for Squadron 42 at all.
But it would be so baller.
Yeah, but if they do use it, it still is.
Yeah.
It doesn't make things easier. And the other thing, I think the more important thing that you're overlooking is the actual size of the files. Right? It makes it so the files are irrelevant. You don't need to have those video files, whether they're compressed or not. You don't need those anymore. You can just use your in-game assets, which is a lot less taxing for, you know, your storage space.
And from a perspective of do you know these do your own story books where, you know, turn to page 52, they could.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
need.
like
they're
choose your
not
own
forced
adventure.
down a particular storyline. Remember last week we were talking about having like one NPC be able to say 30 different things, and it'd be more random. It's the same thing. It's all pathing, right? So if you are standing here or you're standing here, there could actually be a different reaction because it's not a cutscene, because it can
I
be more
suppose you
dynamic.
could delay an NPC so much that they are unable to change their clothes before the next scene.
Yeah.
And then you could see that. I mean, that's quite cool and quite clever.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's much more MMO orientated, that tech, is all I'm saying. Is that
Yeah.
the only reason to make that, really, in my mind, is because of the unification of Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. I was always originally thinking that Squadron 42 was going to be quite separated from it. They could use loads of scripting if they wanted to. They could fake a load of the AI. But they do seem to be going down the route very much so of unifying it all, so it's like this beautiful simulator of their own game. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just a weird thing. It's because games haven't been done like this before.
So as frustrating as that is, like we're all like, well, just launch the game. Like we want to see Squadron 42, and I know it's like been a year we were going to see it, and now it's almost like literally a full year later. And you're saying, why is it delayed? If we were about to see it back then, why wouldn't we have seen it now? And I'm basically, everyone knows that I'm a bit optimistic about the game. In all my videos, I usually tend to favor that way.
Right.
The more is done for Squadron 42, because there's that parity between the two different games. There are two different games, but they're not really. The tech is the same. They both get better as we wait longer. And I'm not saying we should wait longer, but I'm saying is there's more commonality. So what Board Gamer is saying is like, well, they could fake the AI. Yes, they could fake the AI, but then that's faked AI, and that's not a representation of what the game is supposed to be. And it's certainly not what I'm waiting for. I want the next level game. I want something that's mind blowing, right? The people like spend hours just looking at something going, my God, I can't believe that they did that. And yes, there's a limit. I get it. But I'm a little bit more on the idea of waiting for greatness than rush and launch.
Saurus was telling me about Hellblade before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I saw a couple of clips from it. But he was like, the faces are by Freelateral. And I was like, oh.
Which is the same company doing the faces for Star Citizen.
Yeah, and the same database. And which is why that you see similarities between some of the... And you'll look at it and you'll feel familiar.
The thing is being able to go, and this is a little side tangent, but if you get the chance to actually play the game is probably the best situation. But even if you watch some streams or watch some YouTube videos on that game, it gives you an idea of the kind of quality you can look to expect from Star Citizen. In terms of, but that's
vessels and eyeballs.
That's like an 8 to 10 hour single player game. And this is a giant multiplayer MMO.
10-year game. 10-year plus now. Jeez.
I could only hope.
Well, it will get played for many more
Calgon,
years
take
after
me
that.
away.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the monthly studio report for Foundry 42. This is for Manchester. Once again, I apologize for lack of visuals this week. We don't have them, and I can't sneak them out from anywhere.
They can visualize it with our words.
Use your brain thoughts.
Yeah.
Use your brain thoughts to make the picture happen.
The Eclipse is being worked on right now. So the torpedo bay, the ladder cockpit, and flight mode. Or flight mode.
Basically, they've been working on it since last month, and they've pushed, and more of it's getting white and grey boxed out.
Yeah, so for those of you with the Eclipse, they are working on that. Do either of you have the Eclipse?
Coffin? No. I do see the merit for it, but to me, you're asking for it, right? That's a really touchy ship. But anyways, I know I'm going to regret not owning one.
I think it's going to be really good on planet side, because I think it's going to be able to fly really well in atmosphere, and it's going to be useful on when we have static ground defenses. You're going to be like calling an Eclipse in to bomb this target. Right. Come in stealth.
So
I'm excited to see what they do with air to ground. Especially things like the Gladiator and those other air quotes, missile
bombers
boats
and things.
They've also finished the Cyclone, which is good news. So do you think that the Cyclone's going to be coming in 3.0?
No.
They pretty much confirmed that wasn't a thing, but you're going to get an Ursa if you have a Cyclone. So at least you'll be able to play something.
So maybe are the notes incomplete, or am I misreading it, or is there something that they need to continue doing with the Cyclone to get it in?
So I don't think they want to add anything else into 3.0 before it goes out. I mean, if they start adding more and more things, it will be like, well, there's a load more bugs, and it's going to be another month before it's released.
So the fact that it's Cyclone's finished could also mean not necessarily that the UI to go with the Cyclone, the animations to get in and out of the Cyclone. It's also the AA, how the turret works, all the item ports.
Right.
So
well, it could be just the base, right?
Yeah, it could be just that one ship.
The actual, the full thing from that sentence was, on the concept side this month we finished the first buggy, the Tunnel Cyclone. So it might mean all the concept work for it, but it does say we finished the buggy.
Yeah, so that's sort of where everything. I'm a little bit confused with it. Or if it's going to be something that maybe they can implement that Delta Patcher once we get it, and it can either come in later on with a further iteration of the PTU or the live build, or it could even come in on its own patch to test.
I kind of think it's almost irrelevant whether it's ready or not at the moment. It won't be in 3.0, the first release, but it will be ready so soon because it's a small little buggy with no mechanics needed.
Okay, so forgive me. Do you think that we'll be able to fly our Star Kitten Dragonfly?
They've got the skin system in.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming...
And the Dragonfly's done.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that we will see lots of different skins for ships in 3.0. They haven't 100% confirmed that, but I'm
Will it be the first skin that you use on your Dragonfly?
Possibly on my Dragonfly.
Well,
I mean, I like the idea.
I don't think I have one.
Good man.
Good
man.
There's no way to check. I don't know how many...
there is a way to check.
Oh, really? Because I can just see my number. I don't know if I got 10 since the contest started, right?
I think you can see.
Is there anywhere where you can?
Yeah, you can see. You can go to your referral page, and it'll give you the date when they've enlisted.
Oh shit! You're smart.
So you can just look and see how long that is.
That referral contest now though is over, isn't it?
Yes, it is over.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And
I
it went away without
any. So it's not me. I didn't get one.
So you're not a,
but
or gamer, congratulations for being third.
Yeah. To be fair, it's kind of hard to refer a game without new content.
Was I third in the end, was I?
The entirety of third.
No, I'm fourth. Always
a bridesmaid.
I thought I thought there was another 3 weeks until I looked at the thing again. I was like, because I was aiming for second.
Moving forward on ships.
Tangent, sorry. Yeah.
Progress on Vandal ships is being reported. The gray box of the Void Bomber is complete, and the Blade. Here you go for some obscurity here. The Blade is being refined.
Yep. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
It's going to be likely reworked, but they've probably got different materials or something they've added. It's almost certainly.
So,
or adding little tiny bits of modeling to it, like they did with the Hornet reworks.
Right.
So when I looked at the Blade, though, that was equivalent, about the same power as a Gladius.
Yeah, it's the Vandal equivalent of the Gladius. Yes.
Yeah, it's exciting though. It looks nice.
I think
the blades.
Yeah.
And then I realized I had a Gladius, and I was like, no point in having both. And one's a lot more expensive than the other one.
Like $250.
Yeah,
it's an alien ship, right? So obviously you get that premium price with it.
I think that the Blades are going to be the most common Vandal ships in the verse. And it's weird that we've got Vandal Swarm without them.
Do you
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to hope that as soon as they're available, that they start to come in to Vandal Swarm to replace those first 6 or 9 waves of scythes and glaives.
Ooh.
Where we can start to see more variety in Vandal Swarm.
Right. And the glaive, I do have one in Meltback, and it's my plan that as we get closer to commercial launch, that I'm going to pull that out, even if it's just a piece of hanger flare. That's my gift to myself for, just like...
I think as we start to see more of those ships come online, that Vandal Swarm will become a lot more difficult, because with those kind of things, that fleets and stuff, they do much better with a variety of ships.
Right, working together and working off of each
really
other's
hard to
strengths
counter
and
them.
weaknesses.
Yeah. And so I'm excited about that, actually, thinking about it. I want a bit of a challenge.
All hail the great Reclaimer. It's an optimization and undergoing a level of detail passes. Its tech design is also underway. So we've seen some sneak peeks of that. You know, we saw that with the homage to Alien in that video, where it looked fantastic. And we've seen little snippets of it here and there, and we've seen the interior and the grinders and everything.
So that's definitely bigger than the Starfire, right? Like
it's
huge.
Much bigger than the Starfire.
Yeah.
One of the pictures in the monthly report of the Reclaimer was just it was like it looks like the bridge, but it's just referred to as tractor beams. And I'm assuming it's like
that's the
either
tractor beam control room or something.
Yeah,
the bridge for the tractor beams.
Yeah, I think it's literally it might be an entire section of the ship for tractor beams. Like it's possible. The ship's massive. Yeah. It's my favourite ship by far. It's one of the things that my first and second studio tour in the UK, I went, oh my god.
So this is where, like, so part of that thing that you were talking about earlier. Sorry, I'm going to tie this back to your the three-dimensional hologram thing. That in that ship, because it's so massive, in a normal ship that size, like currently, there would be one-on-one voice with video comms. It's not just going to be, you know, like closed circuit TV inside, so you could actually see people back and forth. It would be really neat if part of that system that they let you transmit yourself. And you know, those hardcore role players would do this and make it so that they're cut out and that they're proper in the ship and everything. I don't know. It's just an interesting thought to add it to the next level. So the guys in the normal bridge could actually talk and see the people in the
I think
other
that
bridge.
might be the thing. I think that might be a thing.
As like
the tech works for it, and they can do that potentially. So
much possibilities, but please don't put it in 3.0.
It won't be in 3.0. I think 3.0 is pretty content locked.
Yeah, just kidding.
The Hull C is also nearly complete on an exterior, and they're moving on to level of detail and the damage setup. For that. So anybody who's out there that just wants to be a space trucker and that's your thing, the Hull C is going to be the first out of the whole series to be complete. And then this is the biggest thing. I just learned about this today as I wrote this note in there. 2 ships, and I think we can safely assume one is a 600i. 2 ships and a transport vehicle.
No, so I don't believe this is the 600i, because the 600i is mentioned earlier on.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe this is 2 ships as well as a transport vehicle are being worked on. It sort of sounds like the transport vehicle is a ground-based. Like why would they separate
vehicle.
that from ships, right?
So
unless it's something like a smaller ship like the P-52 or P-72.
Well, they said that there's another Tumbrel ship coming on, another Tumbrel vehicle.
Okay,
coming on later this year. So I'm assuming it's that, but it might not be.
I don't know if you guys have been around. We did a little bit of speculation and if I could introduce a thing into the game. If you know what the Ripsaw is, it's like a tracked tank, but it's really fast and can jump over stuff and whatever.
Was it in Fast and Furious?
I think they use that in Fast and Furious. Yeah, it's like that crazy. Yeah, and
like crazy long suspension and very fast.
Yeah, and they just threw a gun on it or something. But I would I want to see, because they said previously that they have a track system working. Right?
Yep.
Sean Tracy said that, and we haven't seen any tracked vehicles. And I was like, this would be really awesome as a Drake. Obviously, I'm a Drake fanboy, but as a Drake thing, or another company like Apocalypse Arms or Drake or different companies that are like that are kind of like their version of a
militarized. Yeah.
Well, I was assuming it was going to be a tracked version of the Ursa, like an APC. That's what I was assuming, possibly like maybe amphibious or something.
Right.
That was my assumption.
Because
it fits.
We sort of went down a rabbit hole when we were watching those videos, and it's actually quite surprising how many of those different vehicles that are amphibious. The things that we have vehicles now that look like the Ursa. We have vehicles now that look like the Tumbrel and all this other stuff. And not only are they all of everything that they are in the game, but most of them are amphibious as well. They may not be very fast in the water, but they are amphibious and able to go through, which is...
So the Cyclone has a jump jet, which would be interesting. So depending on the gravity, even if it was a small pond or something, maybe you would be able to get enough speed.
You're up against a cliff or something, right? You're able to sort of...
Again, it all comes down to that skill-based reward where the person who has enough experience driving that, and they know how it behaves, they know what piece of rock they have to go off to get it to behave a certain way. So again, bring it on. You know, it's hilarious.
What do you guys think the two new ships are going to be? Any ideas at all?
No, but I know they're not going to be fighters because they've already confirmed that. I'm stating the obvious, right?
Wow. Let's hope
they said after the eclipse, they're done with militarized ships for a bit, and this hasn't been a bit. To me, a bit is 6 months. We know the 600i is coming out, et cetera, and I would expect this to not be.
I would like to see some smaller versions of ships built for a specific job,
like salvage.
Well, we have things like a Herald already, right? Like a salvage ship, a small repair ship.
Yeah.
Right.
So the salvage version of the Prospector. Right?
Yeah.
That size, so one person.
Or like a Herald. Yeah. You know that sort of class of ship that fills those roles. Maybe something. I know we have the Cutlass Red, and we're going to learn more about that probably in the near future. But it's something maybe more towards the medical stuff, because right now we only have the Endeavor, or even like a science ship or something like that isn't, you know, the Endeavor.
I suppose a small recovery ship would be a good idea. I know we've got the Argo, but they haven't got any jump drives.
Right.
That's not a good ship.
That's a parasite for the Idris.
Yeah.
But one of the variants for that is going to be a recovery version for recovering
the game changer
ejected.
Would you like to see more
the Argo is the game changer.
EMP ships?
Sorry.
We only have the one with the Warlock at the moment.
So I'm thinking EMPs are going to be really fucking important, and e-warfare in general. And I'm thinking we're going to see probably more of it on the ground in the near future. But I would like to see more e-warships.
In general.
Definitely.
Yeah, because right now there's so for E-War you've got the Sentinel, right? The Vanguard.
Yeah.
And probably not the Herald to a point, and Terrapin is more of a scanner, not really an E-warfare.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's kind of
Terrapin will be good at lurking.
Yeah.
Lurking ship.
And strong but slow, I think.
Yeah.
So we got chat about cloaking again, and there's a difference between a cloaking device like a Romulan cloaking device and then being not detectable. And I think CIG is going towards being not detectable rather than having like an iron that you flick a switch and it makes your ship disappear. So
you mean we won't have a Faraday cage that we can just fly into?
But it's all going to be signature management and then signature detection.
So cloaking, right? Low signature rather than cloaking device.
Yeah, no cloaking at all.
Now, moving out of vehicles with the Foundry 42 update, they're talking about the Sun Shadow system is being worked on to work better with extreme ranges of shadows. So something that you see a lot with not just Star Citizen, but a lot of games is once shadows start to become a certain length, they sort of just clip off. And I don't know what that reason is, if it's a memory issue or if it's something else.
It's probably shadow memory pools. Probably.
Yeah. But they are working on extreme ranges of shadows on planets and moons, and they mentioned they can exceed 10 kilometers or even more.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Having 10-kilometer shadows that are simulated.
Yeah.
Because it's based because the planets
are really important for the morning and the evenings. Right? You obviously don't have those shadows when it's 12 o'clock. You know, the sun's 12 o'clock. Not as in, I'm trying not to say that as time, because everybody's going to be like, it's not 12 o'clock on that planet. You don't know what. But, as in, like, the star is right above you.
12 o'clock where you're standing.
That could be different. If you're, like, for example, on the Cloud planet, if you're on Crusader, Cloud City, there might be platforms directly above you, so you only really get shadows if the sun's directly above you, stuff like that.
Right.
Like thinking outside the box.
Right. I'm just trying to keep it as basic as possible.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
But
the one that like I've been on a range and had an F-18 fly over, and that shadow flies over with it, and it's so like that level of if you see a saber fly over you, but you see the shadow coming first, kind of stuff. Having that opens up a lot of possibilities, and also I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say.
It just adds to the environment, and I think that the environment is really important, especially when you come into planets and stuff like that, and to be able to add to that for dusk and dawn and all times in between. That it just adds to that and adds the immersion and is able to push the boundaries a little bit and continue doing that. They also made more work on the volumetric clouds, and they've already completed volumetric fog, but this is volumetric clouds for space and scales of entire solar systems, or smaller or whatever, and everywhere in between. And this is going to add a lot to the next thing here, which is like the spacescaping, right? So the dust clouds how they look and feel, the asteroids and how they look like rings and things like that from a certain distance, and just general space ambiance at all. Overall, have all received tweaks.
See, I'm really looking forward to that gas tech.
Yes.
For Crusader again.
Well, I mean, if the Pyro system or the was it the Pyro Nebula or what was that they showed? The black and red.
They don't like using the nebula word.
No, I know. It was something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Whatever they showed, it looked gorgeous. And if they're able to reproduce that and have that in game where you can fly in it and it feels like you're flying through it, and yeah, I mean that's what they want to do. A lot of space is black, but they want to make it as interesting as possible.
I think they said that they were able to do it 50 times more effectively, the dust effects and the cloud effects with the GPU particle system they've got now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do keep on making these optimizations, and I know people are like, oh, they've optimized fog again. No, that's good.
But it's important.
But no, it is good.
Important. Yeah,
because it is being used across the entire game. It's not like it's a single landing zone or a single asset or something like that. And then some news for some people. Some landing zones are currently being worked on. And this is in Hurston and Orison?
Yeah. Orison,
So, Bort, do you want to tell us more about what those landing zones possibly could be? And what do you think we should expect?
So we don't really 100% know. We know that they're working on those new hero landing zones, and I suspect they will be Levski-esque. Where is Orison again?
Something to eat.
Look at my fucking notes.
That keyboard though.
Stanton 2. Oh, it's on Crusader. It's Cloud City. Okay.
Yeah.
So. I don't actually know what we're going to see from them. I'm not sure if they're going to be their first iterations or if they're just finishing white boxing and grey boxing. Well, I suppose it'll be grey boxing now.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that they're going to be the next hero landing zones that we see. We know that they're going to be.
I'm actually quite surprised
system.
It's not Terra, because we know that they mentioned that a long time ago that they were working on that, and we even watched a video recently on my channel. Maybe we watched it on Monday, I think. Where they walk through, their implementation of Terra, what they had. It looked very empty and very minimalist compared to what we get now.
A lot of that stuff, though, is now like locked down under Squadron 42.
Mm-hmm.
Like no spoilers, Squadron 42. So a lot of that stuff won't be shown until near release or for like vertical slices and stuff. But the Stanton system, though, for the next few patches towards the end of this year, is all going to be about fleshing out that Stanton system, getting bigger play area, because we're going to have a quarter of the Stanton system. We're basically having 2.0 remade for 3.0, with a few extra points of interest and moons and explorable areas, which is hundreds of hours of gameplay, don't get me wrong. But for the rest of the year, they're going to be fleshing out that Stanton system, getting a full system.
Right.
So these are the important hero landing zones for it. I'm not sure we're going to be standing on procedural city tech with that, because that is important for ArcCorp and stuff like that. So I don't know how far that's along, but Hero landing zones.
Speaking of hero landing zones and inserting Squadron 42 into that, Shubin is being wrapped up. And I imagine that the assets for Shubin have been done quite a while ago. But I think this is
huge as well, Shubin.
It's very huge. But I also imagine this is all with, the entirety of it for AI to move around on it and do all of that stuff. So it sounds like Shubin is being done. And we know that that's like the heart of Squadron 42. Is Shubin. The whole chapter revolves around this mining station, and yeah, it'll be curious to see what we saw of Shubin many moons ago, to see how it sort of evolved into the process and into what it's going to be. And do you think that now that it's done, do you think that we're gonna most definitely see Shubin for Gamescom or CitizenCon?
See, that's a weird one.
And if not, do you think that, or do you think we shouldn't, or do you think that we should?
I would rather see Squadron 42 at CitCon, even though.
Right, it doesn't matter
financially.
I'm not biased one way or another as long as it shows up in one of them.
So I know financially. Sure. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure if we'll see Shubin at all in a vertical slice. I think the vertical slice will be much more generic of just being on a Idris or a Javelin or a Bengal, and then go through a mission. I think some of the like more story elements they're not going to want to show in a vertical slice. They just don't want to show like this is the pre-briefing, this is the briefing, this is you getting to your ship, this is you doing a mission, this is all the cool stuff that can happen, and this is you getting back and having a debrief. They want to show that as a vertical slice, not any story elements. Mm-hmm. And I feel that Shubin is too much of a story element.
Yeah, the function rather than the story.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, like what I was thinking was they would do like a fly around or fly through of Shubin. And just like the AI or NPCs. Yeah, and just the NPCs just going around doing their jobs or guarding things or running down the hall to an emergency where all the lights are going off, or if they're being attacked or something.
I can't tell what's a spoiler or not anymore. My ability to work out if something's a spoiler, I don't know.
In my opinion, a spoiler would be a direct, like, a dialogue. Anything outside of a dialogue. Or, like, if something like a kingship warped in to start fucking up Shubin, which is probably going to happen. But if they confirm something like that, that, to me, would be a spoiler. But seeing the actual assets or seeing them just sort of move around or the area is a...
Yeah, I pretty much assumed that every single thing I've accepted the fact that following the alpha, the game is going to be spoiled, right? But I do want the content of Squadron 42 to stay completely off of the grid, as it were. I know that we've already talked about it. They probably won't go to Evocati. The game mechanics maybe, but not the story. And if it does, I actually, as much as I would like to be Evocati, I almost don't want to be part of the testing phase for it, because I think it would wreck it completely, and it'll get leaked.
Well, I think
leaked,
that'll be something that people will be able to opt out of.
Off the grid, like I just don't want to look at internet if Squadron 42 is being leaked.
Do you think that I'm not sure if Squadron 42 will get offered to the Evocati? Maybe it will. I assumed that it'd be QA only, but
because the commonality in the game engine. They could potentially give us the mechanics that you needed for Squadron 42 in a PTU build, right, or in an Evocati build, and then transfer them back.
Potentials there.
But the story, I don't want to hear the story. I don't want anything to do with the story coming out, because I want to play that myself.
Jumping back to character customization, we should start to see a greater range of ethnicity diversity and age ranges as more and more heads are added to the database, as they're getting more and more of these characters in and actors in. That's obviously going to change, all the choices of different heads and then the morphing between them all. It'll be interesting to see what these all are when they do all come in, and what they have now. We don't even know how many they have now. It looked, last time we looked, they had that, I think it was a 3 lateral demo. Actually, right? That showed it initially. That they had, it looked like 12 heads or something.
I think it was 14, but
14? Around that number. What do you think that database is going to get up to?
Huge amounts, constantly. I think it's going to have loads.
Like if you go to the IMDb Actually, I'm going to do that really quickly and see how many actors they have separately for Squadron 42. And this is not counting anything from Star Citizen or anything else.
None of the randoms that they may have scanned. You know, like whenever they set up the apparatus, I don't know how long it takes, but let's say it takes a certain period of time to grab someone's face. Once that apparatus is set up, they could have just said at the lunchroom, "Hey, come on in, and do you want to be in the game?" So you're right; it could be very diverse. It could be a lot of different options.
I do think that it is every backer's dream to have CIG put them in the game.
Naturally,
like, please put my face in the game. I mean, I think you already have, to be honest.
It's well over 70. For that we know of as well. And yes, I would go out of my way to get a trip to Serbia to go to 3 Lateral and get my face. Well, that's where they're based out of.
Yeah, but don't forget too. There's each one has a slider, right? So just because the face is the way it is, you also have the ability to move everything. So like limitless, almost. I guess if you can't make
almost limitless.
Yeah.
That statement hurts my brain.
No bullshit, right?
When I went to PAX South at the Intel booth, they had a thing where you could scan your face in to be in a couple different sports games and GTA. And it was at the Intel booth, and you waited. The line was insane. I didn't end up doing it, but you waited in line, and then you went in and you had their scanning stuff, and then they would make a file or whatever, and I guess email that to you or whatever it was that they did, and you were able to put yourself into the game with the modeling and the textures and everything. Now, Legion Victrix, I know, works at Ubisoft and is joining us in chat right now and works on, I believe, mocap and stuff like that. And he says that you can scan someone's face within seconds, but it's the prep and the makeup before, which takes about an hour. I know, Ford.
Do you make up?
Ford, you do.
What are you saying? I'm beautiful.
You also need to shave your beard.
Whoa, no. This just
hair.
I know, that's 6 months of work for him.
Yeah, because if you shave the beard off, then you can make it dynamic and move. As you move, it'll
my face is dynamic.
You can use NVIDIA Hairworks or whatever it's called.
My beard doesn't hold it in position like a clamp.
Listen, I will shave my entire head, hair, beard, eyebrows, whatever. If I could get scanned into the game, I will baby powder my face so good. So good.
So weird. That's so weird. But it's very dedicated. Dedication
down
to his craft. Yeah.
I'm down. Moving forward, this is something that I know, Newfire, you had some questions about, and I don't have answers. But PvP player bounty system is now complete with the proper code in place. More information?
My God.
I put the more information in there because it's like there's no more information other than that.
So specifically, the paragraph from the PU Live design team from the Foundry 42 UK studio report says the player versus player version of bounty hunting missions was completed with a proper code system that expands previously flowgraph version found in 2.6. So
what does that mean?
So I believe it means we have bounty hunting technically already from 2.6 onwards, which was the naughty man, the fly naughty man, follow him around. Public enemy, public enemy mission, and that sort of stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of evolution on that, and it's basically going to be these people are bad, go kill them for reward. It's going to be as simple as that in that iteration. I think. I have no idea. I pulled that out of my ass, but that seems to fit them best.
It fits the most with what we know.
Rabbit hole confirmed. Now's the time to go to the bathroom, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to hear this. But I was going to make a video, part of the job series, about Bounty Hunter. And, I mean, it makes total sense. Bounty Hunter is a very straightforward concept. You know, you put a bounty on someone and some guy goes and collects that person. But this brought up, it triggered me a little bit because I actually wasn't able to make that video because there were so many unknowns about how the game mechanic might work. Specifically, if I put a bounty on, let's say, Board Gamer for $50 million or 50 million credits, and then someone is tracking him and he logs off, right? And then doesn't come back for 6 months. Board Gamer just has basically reverse trolled him, right? He's basically preventing that person who wants to bounty hunt from bounty hunting. So
kind of, and not really. I mean,
okay, so then let's say the guy put in
open.
10 hours. I know, but let's say the guy put in 10 hours of work into hunting Board Gamer down, and just as he found him, poof, he goes for dinner. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't mean to, like, you can understand why the video...
But we know that there's going to be a logging thing where it's like, you can't just log off.
No,
right?
I know,
you can't have a gun pointed to your head and be like, yeah, I'm going to log off now.
But at the same time, let's say Board Gamer has an alternate, and he knows that he's accumulated so much bounty that the entire community is after him. So and he's like, no, I'm going to go use my alternate, and then I'm going to go bounty hunt myself. Like what? Like.
Okay, so let me put this in sort of a real life context. Say there's a bounty on you, Fire. Okay, real life. Bastard. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go find him. I work all my way across Canada, sniffing out the trail. You know, my dog's smelling the little path, and we're going and whatever. And we get to where you are, and I finally find you in Toronto. Okay, and just as I get to Toronto, you take off in a plane to go to Russia for 10 months. What can I do? There's nothing I can do.
But the difference is that I actually would have been on a plane going
Not necessarily.
somewhere.
Right? You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? It depends on the actual... If you are right next to you, then of course, whatever. But if I'm in the same city as you and I still don't know exactly where you are and you happen to jump on a plane and get out of there, then that's just sort of how it goes.
I mean, I guess the point is I don't see how, like, if I was watching a stream or something and I knew that someone else was looking for
you fucking stream sniper.
Right. So let's say that's the thing. Or let's say you heard from someone that, oh, so-and-so put a bounty on you. You're like, fuck him. I'm going to use my alt for 6 months. You know, he can just be bored for 6 months and I'm going to play with another account. I don't know. Again, I'm not complaining at all. I'm curious. And these are the kinds of, I'm sure there's been roundtable discussions at CIG, like, how are we going to make this work? How is bounty hunting going to be a thing? So the only thing I could think of how to make it reliable is that you're going to maybe only be able to bounty hunt NPCs. Like, who knows? Because
we know that it's coming in with PvP.
I know, but like, the only way that I can see a clear path that the mechanic makes sense is with NPCs, because the NPC won't log out. But if
I think there's going to be a mixture of all of that. There's going to be NPC bountying. There's going to be private bounty hunting. There's going to be job listed bounty hunting. And I do think that part of that high level play bounty hunting is that people can escape you and log off. I mean, they're not going to be combat logging. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, someone might go to a planet and they might log off. But I mean, the potential there is that if you do bounty hunting, that they could.
You have so many bounties open as well that the one bounty is kind of irrelevant.
Not fair. I don't think of it as being fair because I'm not. Again, it's not special snowflake stuff that I'm talking about here. I'm not saying that everyone should just do kumbaya and be happy. I understand the game is skill based and there's a certain level of risk reward.
I have an answer.
But before that. So let's say you've invested 6 hours bounty hunting some guy and he logs out. Yes, there's other people that you can go bounty on, but that's a bit of a anticlimactic experience, right? It would be kind of not. It wouldn't be fun.
My answer is that bounty raises over time. Problem solved.
Then you just don't play. Then you just don't play that account.
Why would you?
Or go to Grimhex and
if you're gonna not play a game that you own, that you've paid for, over a bounty and playing the game.
Worked. But the bounty's worked.
It worked then. Yeah.
Yeah, so if the bounty is literally there to either get you back or prevent you from doing stuff or to slow you down or for retaliation for a billion different reasons, if you stop playing on that account, then I think that it's been an effective bounty.
Okay, so how about this then? Let's say... So and then it's up to the player. Put a bounty without cause. So let's say... Source, I just said, my whole org gets together, we want to fuck with you. So we're going to put all of our credits, and we're going to put a bounty on your head, like $10 trillion.
Okay.
Right? So are we trolling you? Because let's say you haven't actually done anything and I just put a bounty on your head. Is that something that you think should be in the game?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I think one of the things that you'd have to do is that would effectively be an illegal bounty.
Well, the other thing too
is you have to do it outside of legal space.
What's worth it more to me? To die once?
Yeah,
or for me to not ever play the game? Yeah, and for me not to play. Yeah. Like, if anything, I win in that situation. Right?
Yeah, why would you in the middle of free space and blow yourself up and or come get me?
Just tell my own org, hey guys, we're gonna earn some money.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Right, you know what I mean? So there's solutions to that. But if you have, say, like a normal bounty on someone and they aren't able to play for 6 months at a time or whatever, then you can either choose to keep that mission or move it or kick the mission out. But what I would do in that situation is I would keep the mission in there and forget about it, and maybe just check on it, see if they've logged in or see if it's active again or whatever. Maybe it goes inactive when they're offline, right? And then so when it's active again, it could be worth more because the longer he evades that bounty, I imagine the price would go up.
Yeah. No, I like it. So you're definitely... Yeah, it's making a lot more sense. It definitely has more possibilities.
And you never would have a bounty that was worth significantly
more than what the actual bounty is worth.
Yeah. Right? So you wouldn't have someone trying to kill themselves.
You would never put all of your money in your org unless I had killed and destroyed so much of your shit that it's cheaper for you to put all your money in your org to kill me than it is to replace all of those things or some sort of revenge, and it's worth it for you. For me to die once.
Yeah. My only concern was those people that are really, really rich in real life. And I know there's limits to how much credit you can buy. Right. But some guy just opens up like 6 accounts and goes and buys $1 trillion. The credit says, screw you. What the fuck, source? I want you dead. I'm going to put $1 billion bounty on your head. And it's real money, like $100 US or $200,000, whatever.
It's exploitable in the opposite way. It's literally Soros would benefit out of that because he had one of his org mates.
Then it's like, I would just get, even if you couldn't do an org mate claim your bounty, you'd be like, yo, bored. Here, I'm going to do you a favor. Give me a ship.
Thank you for the free credit. No, I like it.
The other thing is that you'd use bounty hunting for area of denial. You'd literally say, I am setting a bounty on you in this system. Because I don't want you in this system. I don't want your org in this system. So I'm setting bounties on all of your org on this system. And obviously they can still come in there. And if it's an illegal bounty or there's security there, someone trying to attack you there would get them in trouble with the police or the security. But you'd have to do it sneakily or whatever. But the idea is it's a deterrent because I'm trying to do something at a particular time or whatever. So I think if they do the bounty hunting system right for PvP, then I think it will be really good. And there are going to be those edge cases, like you said. There are going to be really frustrating times where someone logs off. So they can try and work out ways around them. Maybe they can say that, you've identified where he is and you can get part of the bounty or something. I don't know.
Right. Or set up sensors so that when he leaves, you're alerted, like a beacon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And an NPC just literally saying, I've seen him leave.
Yeah.
Like ATC,
or like Boba had a tracking device that he put on a ship and then...
the reward just increases over time. Right, and if they go offline, then it increases by double or something, or whatever they think makes the most sense to do that. And that'll be a whole balancing act when they do all of that stuff as well. I mean, right?
They've talked about the physical ownership of ships and them literally having ID numbers. So potentially, bounty hunters could have access to a database that is this. Where is this VIN number now? The last time it was spotted.
When was the last time it landed at Olisar? When was the last time it landed?
And they can literally go, cool, there's 4 bounties in this area according to this VIN database.
I like it.
I think there's a lot of potential for bounty hunting to be actually quite good. It's the only issue is if you're trying to track one person for a long time, then it gets frustrating. But I think it will be I think there'll be a lot more people to fight and lots of things to do.
And I'm seeing some questions about bounties and stuff like that in chat. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to put them in the question thing, ! question, and then we'll get to them then. And then last thing with the studio update from Frankfurt 42, or Frankfurt, Foundry 42 in Manchester, that is NPCs, and we knew this already, will glance and interact with you contextually via the wildline system as you pass or approach them, and different things, and how you interact with those people. So yeah, there you go. That was the Foundry 42 update for Manchester. Now, once again, if you have any questions, ! question in chat. These notes at the bottom here, these are new. board?
Well, no, I did them earlier. They're just links
Okay.
for me, basically. That's so one of them is how many systems there are in game, like literally solar systems that they've got planned.
Right.
The other one's the updated PU, that big graph.
Right. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
And
So
the
we
other
can
system
jump into
I've got.
questions then.
Yeah.
We shall jump into questions. Here we go. We're going to try and burn through these. I know Board Gamer has places to be, people to see, things to do, dollars to make. Inca
Wow,
says,
wow.
when do you think they will implement on-foot and EVA options? This is a question for both of you guys. For joystick in-game. Or do you think that they never will and will always need to use the third-party tools to be able to do these things?
Sure. Like, so this is I think this is a comment that I had earlier.
I think it's such an edge case.
So, should you be able to bind a joystick to anything? Sure. Why would you want to? I don't think that it's probably not a priority, hasn't been brought up because I don't know of anyone who actually would want to play, let's say, Battlefield with a joystick. It's
What
just,
if you haven't got enough room on your desk? I think it is an edge case, definitely.
Yeah.
And
I think
you
it's a very
basically-
small percentage of people who would want to do this.
and they will get killed all the time.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you're playing Star Marine with a joystick against guys with even controllers,
Yeah.
right?
Well-
If space is an issue, I would say look into getting an Xbox or
So
Keyboard and mouse.
Say you're in a
Keyboard
single
already.
seater. Say you're
Yeah.
in a single seater fighter, and you eject from your Hornet or whatever, and you want to just move around a little bit while you're in EVA waiting for you to get picked up by someone. So because you don't want to get hit by debris or something.
Right.
You don't want to be direct next to your ship when there's an enemy around. So you want to play a little bit, hide yourself while you descend off your distress beacon. I can see that, and it is almost an edge case.
But the keyboard already does that. Like, so I'm dual stick and keyboard and mouse. And keyboard and mouse will be everything except flying. And that's normal. Like you play Battlefield with keyboard and mouse on PC. I know there are people out there that would go get a controller and they'll try to play, but a controller on a console has auto aim. And same thing with joystick, you won't have auto aim. So trying to use something that looks like this to try to precisely do if you watch, it's just not there. Nobody should want to bind a joystick to play a first person shooter. And that's it.
My argument was, yes, while a controller is worse than a keyboard and mouse in my opinion, and some people do, the amount of people who prefer a controller to play an FPS is a lot higher than people who prefer to use a joystick to play FPS. It's like saying, when are we going to be able to bind Rock Band drums to do stuff?
Yeah, like you might as well play Guitar Hero.
The thing is you can do that with third-party software, like you said, and I think that's probably going to be the best way to do it.
Okay.
Because
I'm
it
doing
is
that.
such
I'm going to make a video
case.
about how the drums are the best controller to fly the Ursa or to drive the Ursa. So if you want to go forward, you tap the yellow drum.
There you go. But Inca, thank you so much for the question.
Yeah.
Our next one's from Darksteel Studios saying, once salvaging and repairs are implemented, do you think it will be possible to construct a ship from scratch? I.e. find a hull, engines, components, bring them back to your hangar, and build a ship?
No.
Yes and no.
No.
So I'm going to say no in the way of you're not getting like wings from another ship and different stuff like that. But you could salvage engines, weapons, a hull without any engines or weapons on it and repair it. And then put all those things on
That's
it.
how the Bengals supposed to be, right? The Bengals supposed to be...
No, the Javelin.
A wrecked.
The Javelin.
But on the ground. Isn't there like 5 Bengals in the universe or something? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
So you explore and you find the hull of a Bengal, and it is a carcass, and you have to build it. But even that isn't like, oh, here's an engine, and I'm going to build a ship from the engine. You still need the hull. You still need the chassis.
We don't know how that's going to be done.
Of course,
Ben did talk about having Bengals findable in verse. Now, we don't know sure if they're going to be derelict and can be repaired, or if they're going to be it's going to be a mission-based thing. So you might turn up, it might be a mission, and then it
we know
eventually
components
gets delivered to you or something.
Components are going to be salvageable and reclaimable and whatever. We don't know if hulls are going to
Yeah.
be salvageable in that way.
No, I understand, but I guess the question is, can you build a hull? Is what the question should be. Can you build a hull, or do you just attach stuff to a hull to make a ship?
Yeah, you would just attach stuff to a hull. Now, where you get that hull, maybe on the used marketers. The other thing, too, is we don't know if there's going to be, like, used ship sales and stuff like that, and there may be. And so you may be able to buy, like, an old used Cutlass hull, and that's all
for
it
$100
is.
bucks.
But, and it's got nothing else. And if you've salvaged everything else, then you could put it on there. Or maybe you could find a hull floating in space and be like, okay, I can put this in my Crucible. And
when is a ship salvage and not stealing?
well, that's depends on the ownership system.
Yeah,
That's something that they would have to figure out.
Would have to do with the claim. It'd have to do with the claim, right?
yeah.
So if you blow up your ship and you survive and you're repaired, you physically, your body's repaired, and you come back and pick up your own ship, then it's not salvage, right? But if some guy comes along and picks it up, do you file a claim against him?
Well, what happens if you've already filed a claim and you've gotten something back and it's still just floating out there?
It's
then
you have to go.
Yeah.
So again, this is all part of the insurance fraud and all that other stuff that CIG is definitely going to have to look at. And I have confidence that it'll work out and will make sense. But
I'm assuming that's going to be the best way of getting rid of your stolen ship. Strip all the components out, have it salvaged.
And then don't forget, the only thing that a couple podcasts ago we came up with is that the best way to get rid of insurance fraud is to make it so that your effort is less than what you could have achieved just by playing the game, right? Yes, you could go steal your own ship and all the other stuff using 2 accounts. But what you're going to get out of it is less than if you had just taken a prospector and went and mined something for 10 hours,
or did some shipping lanes in a hull series or whatever.
Right. Just make it completely useless for you to even consider doing it.
Treason says, do you think we'll be able to repel from some ships for either insertion or extraction? I'm saying in the future, I could see this as extremely useful and immersive ability for atmospheric space rescue or operations like bounty hunting. That's something I haven't even thought about. But in atmosphere, you would think you would have a ship that hovers there and you could do something like that.
I was thinking that they'll probably deal with a lot of stuff like that with limited range jump packs. That was just in my head. I was thinking that you'd have like 10 seconds of jump pack fuel.
Oh, that's like saying if you have a tumbrel, you just roll it out the back and down and it takes off.
Yeah, because if you look at the vehicles and look at some of the other things with the grab lefts and stuff, it makes sense with the system that you already have. They have EVA, but you don't want to obviously can't.
Yeah, like
EVA around
a Nox or Dragonfly, I feel like we just sort of slowly coast down to the planet side.
Yeah, so I think that's possibly what they'll do for instead of repelling and for safe landings. To
be fair, it would look really fucking cool, even if it was only for insertion. Like if you had a thing where it was like, okay, you can use it's just an inner thought system where you just use the rope and it just goes, you go down, there's no real controlling it. You're just like, okay, jump, and then you go down and it just goes through the animation.
So would impacting on the planet's surface though. Yeah. Like if you're jump jetting down, you're like, and it just like 5 seconds before you hit the floor, it
you got that little dust cloud and stuff.
Yeah, and like to do that with Titan armor and stuff. I mean, that would be fucking amazing.
That's what's known as in the superhero movie genre. Yeah, like the hero jumps, like the Spider-Man landing or the Iron Man landing or whatever. Treason also goes on to say, do you know if the legitimate orgs, what are you trying to say? Legitimate orgs. Like say a mining org will be able to hire a less scrupulous org like pirates or something as security without the hired org's methods affecting the reputation of those that hired them.
Probably.
You should be able to. We don't really know enough about the org and reputation system yet.
Yeah, the association system is going to be that.
I mean, the problem is that I'm sure you can hire anyone to do anything, but will they do it? If the problem with them being unscrupulous, being a bit of a dick, is that you don't know if you can trust them.
Yeah.
So
it really depends on what your relationship is with that person and or org.
Yeah.
11 Charlie ENG says, new to Star Citizen, so sorry if this question is well known. I know that we were all excited for 3.0, but will there be a 4.0? And do we know what will be in store for that? So we do know that it does go up to 4.0.
a year ago we knew what 4.0 was supposed to be.
Right.
If that's an answer to the question.
The thing is the project is very liquid. So things do sort of change and stuff. Is that page still up though with all the 3.1, 3.2?
It's only got 3.1 and 3.2 on it now. But
I took screen captures of it if anyone's interested.
It's likely that 4.0 will be new systems. It will literally be new solar systems. For it to move on to 4.0, it will be almost beta level of the game.
But you can expect any 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, etc. is going to be a fairly major patch with major game mechanics or network or major game things instead of just like assets or small hotfixes and things like that. And that's more of a 3.0.6 or 3.0 point whatever.
But we've already seen off that. We've already seen ships being moved in and out of different patches. Like, something that was supposed to be in 3.2 is now in 3.1. Mining has been moved out, but like it was supposed to be and then it wasn't. So again, it really kind of, it's all jello, like you say. Quite accurate.
Very liquid.
And good description, right? Yeah.
Next question's from Citizen Shenanigans. What ground vehicle would each of you create? You guys know already I would make the Ripsaw.
Fucking tank.
An
Abrams or a Leopard 2.
Is that the small one, the Leopards?
No, not the ones that we bought.
What's the little tiny German tank? The little tiny one.
Oh, there's like weasels and all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm talking like a main battle tank.
So if you guys, I don't know if you guys have the stream open, and I know both of you know what the Ripsaw is, but here's a video of it. And I believe this is either Canadian or Russian wilderness.
Cool, but there's no gun on it.
There's a space in the back. You can put modules just like you have with the other thing, and it doesn't need to be exactly like this. It's just
a tank. Like
that is a cool tracked vehicle.
It is a fucking baller.
It'd be nice to have a solid main battle tank. I mean, I would like to see some sort of big artillery or anti-aircraft piece. That's why I want a proper. Oh fuck! We're not getting near that sort of like anti-air gun.
Yeah.
Proper flak.
Well, you know what I would like to see is something similar to a V3 launcher, where it holds like torpedoes, right? Like for larger ships and things like that. That would be cool as well.
To repel capital ships, sort of thing. Like you don't want to get your Polaris in orbit because there's a big torpedo launcher down there. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Burning Jiggly says, why do you think there's so much disdain for any mention in the forums and some YouTube pages about even suggesting the option of FPS movement options for the joystick and EVA? I think it's just such a small percentage of people.
It's not a priority.
It's not a priority. It's like saying, let's put it on Linux. Yeah, there's people out there that use it, but it's such a small. It
doesn't work as well either. Like, use the keyboard. I mean, I do, and you can.
And the thing is every computer comes with a mouse and keyboard. You have those. It doesn't matter if it's a shitty HP, whatever. It's still there and works the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Negress has a question for Board Gamer. Hey, Board, he says. So a long time ago, you made a video using Vorpex in the DK2 of Oculus. I wanted to know if that still works. I know VR is not implemented yet, but like you, I love experimenting with those things. Also, what do you think about the Pimax 4K for VR? I'm looking into that. Thank you. Love you guys.
So I've used the Pimax, and it was too blurry for me. Even when I was fiddling around with it in 4K, it's a very fiddly headset. It's very cheap. If you don't mind testing, fiddling, and a lot of work, it might be worth it. It's a very cheap VR thing that you can get. It does have a lot of potential, but it's the Oculus was so cheap, just use that. And yes,
and it's gone on sale recently too, right?
Yeah, the Oculus, you can bodge to work with Star Citizen. It's not the best experience in the world, but if you like messing around with stuff and you don't mind loads of fiddling, then you can give it a try. And Vorpix and some other programs, there are free ones as well, not just Vorpix, you can use to bodge that. So yeah, it's cool. It works. It's just not a great experience.
Shambles asks, with biomes coming soon, TM, do you think that they will make plant life destructible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can harvest it. You shouldn't be able to run it over with a truck. So yeah, it's not going to just persist.
It will probably have similar damage states to that of ships almost. Like you might be able to like burn bits of leaves off.
Oh, I know people that would sit there for hours just blowing up plants.
Yeah.
Soy and Tech says, does Turbulent have a studio tours like CIG Studios? I'm going to Mount Royal next month.
Montreal.
No, well, it's actually at Mount Royal, isn't it? In Montreal.
Contact them. Drop them an email.
Shoot them a message on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would be happy to. I imagine. We seem to have a lot of questions. I'm going to skip this one, but I am going to mention it. We're getting a lot of questions about FPS movement, EVA movement to joystick. I don't know if we were posted in a thread or something.
Seems like we're being trolled.
It's starting to feel that way. So just so you know, if you asked one of those questions, we've already answered it. We're not going to go into it anymore. The NSB says, with work being done on Star Citizen questing that supports multiple players doing the same mission, etc., do you think co-op will be back as a feature of Squadron 42 Episode 2 or possibly retrofitted into Episode 1?
I think we're going to see missions replayable in co-op, like the fight stuff, and I think we'll eventually get a mod so we can play through it all in co-op anyway.
So co-op was always, for me, co-op was always good because ultimately, originally you were going to do Squadron 42 and that was going to give you a little perk for the start of your life at Persistent Universe. Certain missions, if they're really, really hard, it'd be nice if I could say, hey, Board Gamer, you played through once. Would you mind going through with me and making, not necessarily playing the game for me, but you've done that too, Soros. You've done almost a carry, right? A carry through Wave 18 so that people can get the Caterpillar or something like that. Same idea. And again, the whole point of the game is teamwork and fun. So what's more fun and teamwork than playing co-op?
That actually, bringing that up, do you think we'll see a Caterpillar in Vandals? Or I guess that would be Pirate Swarm.
Caterpillar Swarm.
Caterpillar Swarm.
All the caterpillars coming after you.
Oh my god.
Kidding.
It's so easy to evade.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Trust me.
Okay.
That's all I had for that.
Tom Trustworthy says, we know the player cap per server is not going up with 3.0, which is fine. But would you guys like to, it's pretty obvious, yeah. Would you guys like to see some changes to the current setup? Say a browser with servers listed so we can more easily join games with friends, or avoid servers with many people in it so we can avoid the network issues? Yes and no. I would like this system, I think, for the Persistent Universe, I think works now, because if you have friends in a server, you can see that. But I think for things like Arena Commander and Star Marine, yes, I think we should have a server browser.
Yeah. And
then they can do things like people can set their own rule sets for those games, whether it's like pistols only, or it's team deathmatch, or one life, or whatever. And there's a lot more variation they can do, and you can jump into those specific matches.
So
I have a point on that if it was easy. I think that'd be cool, but I think that might
there are games that do it. It's not like it's groundbreaking, revolutionary, never done before. A lot of games do that.
Would I like to take, let's say, a lobby of 10 people from my org and start my own server? Hell yes. That would be, if you could do it, like we do it anyways. We know how to work around the system where we put a bunch of people, we join, and we get a fresh server, and then those people join on those people.
Jump out and then join.
It's just messy for no reason that I know of. Again, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how difficult it is to actually write the code to let people join in on other people. That's good. But being able to lock the server after, I know that wasn't a question, but that's the next thing. Like you take 20 people and you say, I want to join in on, or 24 people, and you say, I want to lock down this entire server so that it's only one org. They could farm AUEC a bunch of exploits, but then who gives a shit, because it's just AUC and it's going to get reset anyways. So it's I like the idea of the browser, especially being able to see what servers are there.
The issue with that is it's moving away slightly from what CIG want to be doing in the short term. Longer term.
For long term, it shouldn't matter, except for Arena Commander and Star Marine, which it makes sense for.
It does make sense for Arena Commander and Star Marine, and once they have private servers, once they have modding and stuff, Yeah, I think that's kind of server browser is a great idea. Just a simple, easy, guaranteed way to get into games with your mates is all I want.
Yeah, similar
Like a
to
simple
what
bam,
they
bam,
have
bam.
in Arma or DayZ are great examples that I can think of off the top of my head.
Any Steam game.
Yeah, most games.
Join, friend.
Yeah.
Boom.
Thunar Lamfar says, do you think race courses on planets will have static defenses, or will players and ships be able to shoot at the racers?
Literally pod racing from Star Wars.
I think it's going to be player enforced racing as well. So it's just going to be race courses at the first iteration in 3.0. So race courses, but no enforced system. So here's a course. Let's do what the fuck we want around. Let's have a fight. Woo!
Next question's from Giran. The Razor. We know the ship's done, but should we see it in 3.0, or do you think they'll hold it until its release patch in 3. Whatever? Also, the Blade for 3.1.
I don't think the Razor is in 3.0, and I don't think
I thought it was.
any extra
I thought they said it was
I
done.
can't remember if it was or wasn't. I can't
thought it
even
was
remember
done.
So
anymore.
we haven't seen it on any schedule report. I guess the question is, it's not on any schedule report. So
Done.
is it coming? Right. So
I was under the impression that it was done already. It was one of those ships that was like, by the time they got a concept, it was pretty much done, and then they finished it, and then that's why it never went on the report.
chat saying that it's confirmed for 3.0.
Yeah, that's what
It's
I thought.
confirmed for 3.0. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I thought. Diary of the Star Citizen says, how about being able to hire a ground vehicle, Hertz style, to get a time limit to use and return to the garage? I think we're going to see that in 3.0 with Levski and the garages.
Yeah, and I think you'll see it on other moons as well. Occasionally you'll have a garage there or a spawn terminal for vehicles on some of those moons.
Citizen Sandman says, I saw a Reddit post about an idea for the game mode in Arena Commander that would be a 1v1 capital ship skirmish with several players manning one or both capital ships and facing off against each other or against AI.
That would be cool.
I thought this would be a cool and clever way to test out having capital ships battling in the same instance, much like the way CIG tested FPS mechanics with Submarine, the dogfighting mechanics with Arena Commander before they just drop it in the PU. What do you guys think? Yeah, it'd be cool. But I don't think they can do it yet. Otherwise, we would have it.
A point on that is the next step between what he's talking about and what we have now would be being able to get into a lobby and take a Connie and put people in the same group in a Connie.
In a Connie, yeah. That's important as well.
Right. So that, to me, is in the mid-ground of that.
We need the point to be able to join a Arena Commander session in different seats in a multi-crew ship.
Yeah.
But before you see 1v1 capital ship skirmishes, what you're likely to see, possibly, is Vandals swarm in a capital ship, which will be like survive as many waves as you can, and you have this many ships, and you just have to survive. And if the ships get destroyed, they get destroyed. You can repair them, or whatever. You might have to rescue pilots, whatever. But I like the idea of Anitris surviving for as long as it can against AI. That's
awesome.
cool.
Inca wants to know, do you think we're going to get retextured asteroids in 3.0? Currently, when you're very close to them, they look gross.
They look like water, and Shadow's having some sort of weird, horrible fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
but
weird.
That's all part of the redo of the whole system.
Yeah.
For 3.0, they're redoing all of it. So, yeah.
I don't think with the voxel asteroids yet. I think that is coming with mining, but they're definitely going to look better.
Citizen Shenanigans says, for bounty hunting, what happens when you shoot yourself in? The game explodes and ceases to exist on everybody's computer.
Yep. Good job, Citizen Shenanigans. Now you've ruined the game.
Yep.
Good job.
Thanks. Spoiler.
In all honesty, no idea. I don't
You
even
just
know if
pay
you
your
would be able
bounty.
to do it.
You
Yeah,
could just
you
pay
could
your
just
bounty
pay it.
and say, piss off.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd suck because it's probably going to be a lot more money than you want to spend.
Vectorbase says, should players be able to create bounties for any reason? Example, that guy just bumped in my ship, 10 million bounty, or he looked at me in a weird way.
Because it's a bounty.
Yeah.
You can set
Yeah.
bounties for whatever.
For whatever
the
you
people
want.
have to collect them in a very, very interesting ways, though. If you're in lawful space, it's really hard to collect a bounty on someone because you have to become an outlaw to get basically get the bounty.
Unless they are deemed as whatever and it's free to
from
fire
the
on them.
UEE. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically a red card and you're good to go.
Apollo says on bounty hunting, what about a system where they take someone from your NPC family?
Oh, I see.
The thing is not everybody will have an NPC family, so...
No, but another way of looking at it would be like, let's say you had AI with you,
Oh yeah, you could set a bounty on one of their NPCs.
Yeah, the guy goes and kills your NPC instead of you.
You're your first officer.
It's like,
that you've
oh
trained
hey,
for
you
ages.
have a really good turret gunner.
Yeah. Or they just steal your ship. They just impound your ship.
I mean, how would they get that for them to get that information?
So dirty.
Would be
It'd be hard.
It would be hard, and if they did, then worth it to them, I guess, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting thought to think about. Tom Trustworthy says, "How do you think crimes and murders will be tracked on a player? The same way they are now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did something bad, you're red.
It will be
In a
broken
specific
down
zone.
as well
If you're
by system
seen-
and stuff as well.
I think also
Yes.
if you're seen doing it and other things that will make it more complex and more
Yeah, it will
give it more
like
depth than what
it
we
will
have.
have a reputation system as well. Like you are more hostile to these people. If it's private security that witnessed the crime, might not necessarily be a crime to the UEE. It might be a crime to pirates. It might whatever. So there will be a more complex system as it gets older and older.
So Tom also adds on to that, what if you steal or whatever? And it's the same thing. If you're caught doing it, then sure, an automatic thing can go on you. But if you're not caught doing it, then you're not caught doing it. Whether it be by cameras or NPCs or other players or whatever.
But if you're flying around in a stolen ship that's reported stolen, that could still land you in trouble.
Right.
Later.
Yeah.
But if you go and steal, say Board gives me access to his hangar and he's got some guns lying around and I go and steal them and no one sees it, then no one sees it. Right? If I go and steal some cargo out of the back of somebody's
being
ship,
part of his org and doing a job or mission for him versus stealing? Like how would the computer know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he could screw you around and say, yeah, hey, Soros, go pick up that stuff and it's good to go. You know, go take it and then call it an APB on you. So again, these are all the questions. So it's like, where do you draw the line? Where do you trust?
Well, it's cool because I like that when we get these first iterations of these systems, we'll play around with them.
We're going to test those, and we're going to abuse the shit out of that system.
And some of those stuff that become exploits will become game systems that they edit, and some of them will just be removed. And that's the cool thing about the open development. That's what I actually like about it.
We get to break the game to fix it.
Yeah, or to make new mechanics out of something that was broken.
Yeah.
Next question is from Aragorn BH. Do you think that Star System will not allow org mates from collecting a bounty? Could there also be time delays if a player leaves an org just to collect the bounty before they can rejoin the org? I mean, that could solve that.
No, because then people just use alts, right? I would just make a second org that I can collect bounties on. So no, it has to be a lot more tracked than that.
Yeah.
I suspect, though, you can set quite vigorous stipulations on bounties, like this is only available to my org.
Right.
Or this is
available to my network of orgs or whatever.
Yeah. Or only available in this system.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, because you might want to use it as an area of denial.
Diary of a Star Citizen says idea for bounties. When your crime stat gets too high, you move to another system where they don't know you. Eventually, your crime stat will drop and become an outstanding warrant, similar to even in game now where it goes down over time. Eventually, your crime stat will drop and become an outstanding warrant, so you can go back to the system and must stay out of trouble, so the police will ignore you. But if you get caught, or bounty hunters are looking for you, they have that warrant.
GTA 5, basically. Yeah.
That's very specific to independent systems. To have your crime stat not affect you in the system next over, they'd have to be a different security force or a pirate system or something. If you're in a UEE space and you start causing trouble, if you move to another UEE system, they're still going to go, "Oi, that's you."
That guy.
And still go after you. So,
hey, friend.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, don't call me buddy, friend.
Oh my God.
I'm not your buddy, guy.
Fucking beautiful.
Windlord, do you think that CIG's lack of a clear and easily navigable website, as well as insisting on showing $15,000 ship packs on the front page of the Play Now section, has irreparably damaged the relationship with a large part of the gaming community that haven't necessarily backed the game? If not,
I think it makes.
What would you do to mend that and get people back on your side? I mean, my whole thing from the very beginning has been don't show that stuff until someone has a game package.
But it hasn't damaged anything. Like, in my opinion, it hasn't damaged anything because those people weren't going to buy the game anyways.
Or we're just going to complain it.
They're just going to bitch about it. So now, let's say you're 2020 or whatever, whenever the game comes out, those people will still buy the game and still play it, having not gone through the process. So the $15,000 ship isn't there. It's definitely not there to attract people. Like, don't get me wrong, that's a no-brainer. But the $15,000 ship package is there for those people that are really believers, like they really firmly believe, or they're super affluent and they just want to support the game development.
It does. It scares new players away though, because they look at that and go,
but
pay
those
to win,
people
what the fuck?
didn't bother to take the time to figure out what the game is about.
But
So
it's the first.
okay.
No. So this is it though. Like, I agree with you because we've been following the project for a long time. But when it's on effectively the main page, when it's easily accessible, you look at it as one of the first things you look at, and lots of the other information doesn't support and doesn't explain. That website is awful.
It pushes people away per se. I think that it could be implemented much better.
Of course.
And that implementation is just like I said. Only have basic ship packages available. Period.
Mm-hmm.
But
like,
up to
like
the
I said
constellation.
before, this ship has like bestseller,
website.
like a big sign on it that says "New citizens start here." To quote Board Gamer's video, which was a good. Video.
Everything else, the standalone ships and those big ship packages should not even be viewable by someone who doesn't have a game package.
Yeah, it's just bad design, and it makes me feel sympathy for them rather than anger, because I go, occasionally you can be quite derpy.
So I would never do a video called "Is Star Citizen a pay to win?" because it's so polarized, and the store supports to a point. No matter how much you can't. Once a person's decided that the game is pay to win, nothing I say will ever make them see anything different. So those people, no offense to those people should go away for 2 years, right? And then once the game is more fleshed out, they can reevaluate. So I'm quite okay if the store confuses those people. I do agree, though, that should almost be like a concierge thing. Like, hey, I heard there's a $15,000 game package, and you should just be able to go click, add to cart, 5, enter, and just, you know what I mean? It's like...
Right. Nobody's going to do that.
No,
that's the thing.
Maybe...
So... and then Winlord goes on to say in his next question, in addition, do you think that lesser game packs with no ships will ever be a thing? E.g., you just start as a guy on a planet with no ship and have to earn your citizenship before you get your pilot's license.
No, you have to have a ship.
That will be a roleplay thing. If you want to do that, you have to roleplay.
I mean, you definitely can.
Sell your
you
ship.
can still buy it and sell it right away, and then you're stranded.
But, or you could put your ship into autopilot and just jump out.
Ooh.
And just let it go.
Don't pay the insurance.
You know what you do? You could put a render to texture camera on it and just put a video screen in your thing and just watch the journey of your ship over the life cycle of while you play the MMO. And our last question is from 11 Charlie ENG. Will we have a smooth frame rate in 3.0?
We can always set it to a smooth 15. Cap it at 15. That's smooth. So the idea is that there are a lot of optimizations in 3.0. They've done a lot of stuff with physics serialization. They've moved jobs off the CPUs into different threads. So the potential is there to have significantly smoother frame rates. In single player, yes, certainly. We don't know about the multiplayer. We don't know about the PU until it is literally in our hands. We just don't know.
A lot of it has to do with the network code. A majority of it has to do with the network code. If you are curious to see how the game would run on your computer without it relying on the netcode, I have a command in chat, !offline, okay? And that will let you know. So for example, for me, running everything on the highest settings or whatever, I get about 80 frames a second. Okay, and that's me going around and doing missions, and you can do all of that stuff. There's just no other players there. There's AI still.
You're a 1080 with 1920 by 1080, right?
I'm a 980 Ti.
Okay. So that's a good indicator.
By 1080, yeah.
Right. So if you're getting 80, then if you have like something really fancy, it'll be up there with butter.
Yeah. If you have a 1070 or higher, you'll be getting the same, if not higher, than what I'm getting. I don't know too much about the AMD cards. Or if you have something lower, you probably still have something that's very playable.
Yeah.
But that being said, that is our last question for the podcast. I want to say thank you once again for Board and Noobifier joining me. And all of you lovely people in the audience or watching at home and listening in the car ride on YouTube or SoundCloud or iTunes or wherever it is you got this from. Nubifier, what
Yes,
are you
sir.
up to? Where can people find you?
Okay, so I'm on YouTube, the most definitely. Nubifier 1337, Twitter as well, and Facebook. Now, right after this podcast, I'm going to be uploading part 2 of the review on the Wooting, how to configure an analog keyboard for use in Star Citizen. So if you're interested in how that's going to work out, watch for that. Go look for that. Having nothing to do with any of that stuff, I'm probably going to put an IRL video coming up because I brought my car out. I know that doesn't sound like Star Citizen, and it's not. But before I did computers and and videos and stuff like that, I am a car guy. I sport compact tuner.
Here.
Some quick and dirty stats: 2,300 pounds, 410 horsepower, and 282 kilometers an hour is the top speed. So it's tons of fun. That came out, and there's a couple car shows this weekend that I'm going to go.
Nice.
They're far, and I'm going to go outside, unlike making videos. Right? So, and don't forget to, please, if you're in Canada, there's a lot of us. 28 August is CitizenCon Ottawa. Should be very easy for you to find it. If you're in Toronto, if you're in Montreal, in the geographic area, please look it up. I'll be there.
Exclamation point Bar Citizen in chat for a list of all the Bar Citizen Discords.
Yeah. So that's really all I got. I'm hoping to get some guys from Turbulent there, but whatever. It's not my show. I'm not ramrodding it. I'm just making a plug for that.
It's all
Thank you very much for having me. It's always fun to be on.
We got you. Ford, what about yourself? What are you doing? Where can people find you?
Yo, you can find me at BoardGamer UK on all the social medias, on the YouTubes, and on the Twitch streams. I am, for the rest of this week, doing a couple of videos, quite expansive videos actually. One is all we know about what's happening after 3.0 in the between now and like March of 2018.
Wow.
So all the ships that they're going to be working on, the mechanics that we can expect, stuff like that. So it's quite an expansive video on that. And then I'm also doing a video for hopefully Sunday, or by Sunday, which will be this change of the scope of Star Citizen. So if Star Citizen released tomorrow, what features would it have? Because that's changed fucking massively over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the videos I'm going to be working on. Very much looking forward to testing the Evocati build of 3.0 and actually being a good Evocati tester, hopefully, rather than a shitty one. I'm so ready for it!
Evocati emotes confirmed.
Oh my god, I'm so ready.
Am I banned for real, or can I post this?
No,
Can I
you're banned
spam
for real.
emotes?
I posted it for you.
I know, but I want
But,
those emotes. Board
No
emotes.
emotes for you. But what about you, Source? What are you up to?
So speaking of going outside, I'm gonna go hang out with my dog after this.
Nice.
I will be streaming later tonight with the Real Guy Judge. He's coming out over every Wednesday evening. We also have a Bar Citizen coming up tomorrow here in Vancouver, in the greater Vancouver area. It's at EXP. Once again, exclamation point Bar Citizen in chat if you want to find more info on any of the Bar Citizens that's close to you or whatever. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at WTFosaurus. That's it. At WTFosaurus. I keep wanting to say at WTFosaurus.com, but that I'm not twitch.tv/WTFosaurus.com.
Oh my god, does that exist?
I'm going to become a
Yeah,
pro
of
streamer
course.
just so that I can ban you, Source.
WTFosaurus.com? Of course it exists.
Oh shit! Go
What?
straight to your chat. Oh my god!
Are you jealous?
Yeah.
Pro streamer confirmed.
Yeah, dude.
This is chat section, mate.
It's so people can open my when they're in my living room, when we have guests over, they can go to WTFosaurus.com on their phones and they just pull up chat. It's
I like
easy to
it.
remember instead of having to type in WTFosaurus /chat == mobile, whatever.
/org.
But yeah, so we're going to be doing that. And then I'll be on later tonight. And we'll just keep on keeping on, like the cool kids like to say. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone who came by. Very, very much appreciated. We know it's been relatively slow lately, and hopefully it will start to pick up soon. We will see you guys next Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take care, guys. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
So typical.